I finished discussing the article Enlightenment. And if you see at the end of the article, I have asked or I have responded to a question if there is a definitive way to enlightenment or, furthering your journey in spirituality. And then I've asked some questions that if you can draw the conch shell or give the exact measurements, if you can tell what is the pressure point when Jesus was holding her hand, and so on and so forth. At the end of the last question I have said is about can you write something about the society and spirituality or enlightenment. See here, you should understand spirituality, and if you don't understand spirituality, you are destined for ruins. You know, I didn't want to cover this bit, but it's just that I want to talk about certain something. So I've decided to cover this bit of a certain piece of a vision and then continue to speak about the society. You know, before my mental breakdown set in, so I had a certain mental breakdown which was nothing but a partial blue lotus bloom which I was looking through a glass wall. The glass wall had started to crack, and that set in a certain psychic pressure in me, and I started to see future very clearly with visions and timelines. So I could see it before also, but now I had become big with visions and timelines with this certain when the partial blue lotus bloom started to bloom completely. So partial blue lotus bloomed completely and the glass wall started to crack, and I'm starting to get these series of visions, and I can't tell if I'm seeing reality, am I seeing visions, and are they way back in the past, are they in the future, how far in the future. So the journey to become a psychic is not easy. It takes a lot of time to just cope with the visions and understand the timelines and how things will happen. So before this vision started to set in or these mental breakdowns started to set in, you know I was fed up of my maid who used to come to clean in our house, and she was starting to misbehave in a certain way, and normally I would just get rid of the maid, but then I had two other people who were sharing the flat with me, so don't have much choice. And then of course I wanted to speak to her and all of that. So the vision I one vision I got is I'm walking a certain known path outside the house. I'm on my way out to the purchase something or buy something, and in the vision I see my maid walking in front of me, and then she took a right turn, and then from behind I saw one tempo, small tempo, ride in her direction, and then it disappeared. And after 2 minutes, I heard a very big scream, and it was a chilling scream. And I also heard a very loud thud, very big noise of something falling. And I ran to see what happened. The tempo had turned over, and my maid's hand was cut and hanging on that tempo somehow. And the fear it gave me is of another level. And I said, "Oh my God, what happened?" And I had this vision, and I just brushed it off. That let it go. I can't cope with it or deal with it. I don't want this vision. And after some time, maybe after a few hours, I again get a vision where I'm seeing my maid walk in front of me. And then she takes a right turn. And some other looking tempo or van comes through, hits her, and there's again a loud scream and a thud. I again run in the vision to see. Again, her hand is cut and is hanging on the toppled over whatever the tempo was. And I am getting scared. I said, I don't want to see this, I don't want to know it. And on top of this, I don't want my maid to suffer this fate. And the third time, again, I see the vision. I'm walking and I see my maid coming from the perpendicular road. And she says hello to me, and I smile at her. And from behind, some vehicle comes, and she again loses her hand. The stress I'm feeling is another world. And I keep saying, what can I do to, sorry, if so that this vision doesn't come true or it doesn't happen? And why am I seeing this? And why is the same vision again and again showing up? Intuitively, I got told. So I don't tell you that. But I was just told that let her not come and work for you again. And at this point, my other two flatmates who are staying, they want her back. It's not my individual decision. I said, how do I stop her from coming to work again? And that is when I found a solution. I packed my bag and I left the place. I had moved out of that place that day because I did not want the vision to come true. Whew. Problem is, there were more visions coming, and only I know the exhaustion of dealing with these visions. When you're not a psychic and suddenly you are a psychic and you start seeing certain future in some way. So, when I come to the part of society and enlightenment or spirituality, if you look at all my sections which are mentioned in the enlightenment, it's God's hand at work. In section 1, we have Lord Ganpati offering a laddu with his hand. In section 2, Jesus is holding her hand and takes her for a walk. In section 3, in the dream, Jesus holds her hand and reassures her. In the section 4, where India's president Abdul Kalam's day of death gets announced to me, there is no hand in the whole vision. In the section 5, a Buddha's hand or a gesture is delivered to me. In section 6, Guru Nanak bestows a siropa on this lady who I met on a trip, on her uncle, to her uncle. So he puts a siropa like this around his neck, which is again hands. I just want to tell this to the Muslim world. You are being very, very punishing for taking a hand for someone who's possibly stealing or there is a theft. When I ran away or when I moved out of that house, because next day my maid was about to come to work. When I ran out of that house, or I just left that house quickly, I just packed a small suitcase and I just left. I also left all my clothes, everything behind. I didn't care for money. I didn't care for anything. I mean, money I had, I didn't care for all these, clothes and whatever other stuff you have, your some kits, your printer, your whatever, shoes, whatnot. I had sleeping bags, whatnot. I had a lot of things. I had some very precious peacock feathers also. Snake skin. I had a very beautiful snake skin which I had gotten in one park. It was a shed skin, so when the snake will shed the skin, I was very lucky to find it. And I remember my mom had told me, if you ever find a snake skin which is shed, it means good luck is smiling on you. So, whether it is smiling or not, but when I found it, I just felt very, very blessed. But I left all of that behind and I said, whatever it is, I don't want my maid's hand to be gone. And I just left. When we talk about society, we should understand a compassion and consideration and a soft hand goes a long way. And it is time for Islam to accept they shouldn't be so punishing. They should change their ways. and modify it, that you're not chopping anybody's hand over, whatever be the reason. We need to give in more to the humanity and love. This is one. The second is, when I talk about religion, spirituality, I again talk to Muslim leaders and Muslim people. And there is a section I speak in section 7. I speak about something where I say that I have added on my own one other statement. So, I have spoken about how my dad told me that no matter what is the spiritual experience or whatever somebody is telling you, it should never be rewarded. The second I say is that what my dad told me is that a spiritual experience, whenever you're telling or you are, giving some detail, always keep something hidden. And third, I added on my own is that you should not believe as much as you believe. And the reason I add this too is with what is happening with Islam today. You know, today Taliban is in a situation, sorry, Afghanistan today is in a situation because they completely trusted and loved the divine, the people of Afghanistan. So, when somebody came in with a modern or a new interpretation or a very literal interpretation of Islam, they couldn't fight it because there's so much love and respect they have for divine. And they believe that if someone is saying it should be like this, they completely lay their trust and faith and they let them be and let them speak. Today, what has happened is Taliban has done so much damage to people, it can't even be measured to how much humanity has been wasted in Afghanistan. Because somebody believes this is how Islam is, and I want to put this into play. I want to tell everybody, especially all Muslims, is no matter how much you believe, you should also not believe. Don't let people encroach your freedom. Don't let them tie you up in the name of religion. And increasingly, I'm seeing Sikh religion is headed in certain way as well. Recently, there was a news that some Sikh body is saying that women should not wear lehengas or long skirt and blouse for their wedding. Instead, they should wear a very traditional salwar kameez for the wedding. Who are you to say this to anybody? Why are you bringing religion into everything? One, people are too idle and they're praying way too much, and I will not allow it. You should know spirituality, religion is all great till the time it's bringing you happiness and giving you the freedom you want. And if it is not doing so, maybe you should start to doubt it. So when I talk about what can you say about society, Spirituality or enlightenment should not bring pain, but it should bring great happiness and kindness and consideration when dealing with people. And this is the spirituality you should embrace. Never have too many tough laws governing you. Have the most easiest, nicest of laws governing you. Use your common sense. Enlightenment is great, but you should know how to live for yourself and have a good life. Divine will reach you faster.